In just a few days' time, some burning questions will finally be answered. Can Chicago continue to be a loud crowd? The answer is obviously yes. How loud will the CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk chants be? I imagine very. And can CM Punk still go inside a wrestling ring? We shall see. And also, does anybody care about Paul White versus QT Marshall? The answer is obviously no. I'm John Renton with my AEW All Out 2021 predictions at the Now Arena in Chicago, Illinois, where I imagine it's going to be a pretty damn good pay-per-view because on paper, even though there are a couple matches I really don't give a shit about, this is looking to be a damn loaded pay-per-view and could be one of their best pay-per-views in their short history. So let me know your predictions in the comments, please, and what do you think is going to end up being the show-stealing match, like the best match of the night? It doesn't have to be the main event, obviously, because everybody is locked in to see how CM Punk and Darby Allin goes. But I think we could have a couple potential Match of the Year candidates on this. I also hope it doesn't drag on way too long like some pay-per-views, but who knows? They're trying to give the people their money's worth, but long matches don't always equal like a great goddamn pay-per-view. That Jay White versus Kota Ibushi match at Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 2, 48 fucking minutes of my life I'll never get back, certainly proved that. Anyway, let's be positive. Let's talk about, well, the fact that Pac versus Andrade El Olio is not going to be happening on this pay-per-view due to travel issues, I guess. Apparently, it's going to happen on a future Rampage, which is fine. Maybe they can build it and they can actually find a way to make it a little bit more interesting because as far as work rate, it would be fine, but let me just make a prediction now. Andrade El Olio would obviously get the victory, but that's going to happen either on the next Rampage or likely, and well, not the next Rampage, but like one, after the pay-per-view, and it should be a fine match. Maybe make it the main event. Anyway, we have a pre-show match. So we have Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta, and the Jurassic Express with the Embarrassment taking on the Hardy Family Orifice. I don't care about this feud. I don't care. Orange Cassidy and friends will win. It just, does it really fucking matter? I mean, it's nothing against these guys in general, though Matt Hardy does not belong in a wrestling ring in 2021. I don't really care, but the crowd will love it, and I can certainly see, big reactions for Orange Cassidy and him likely getting the pinfall. And they're pretty high on Wheeler Yuta, who is pretty goddamn good, and that Tarzan Boy chant is gonna be pretty damn loud. Just get stunt away from the goddamn, wrestling ring. Just put him in the front row if you have to, where he should fucking be. So now we have the 21-woman Casino Battle Royal for a shot at Britt Baker's AEW Women's Championship. Kind of spoiled just what I think is going to happen in that match. I had to write down the participants. Nyla Rose. Thankfully, Vicky Guerrero is not going to be part of this. She might be at ringside, more in the pity. So Thunder Rosa. I love Thunder Rosa. The Bunny, Big Swole, Julia Hart, Ty Conte, Diamante, Penelope Ford, Red Velvet, Hikaru Shida, who I love the fact she's getting a little more evil. Emi Sakura, Jade Cargill. Cargill, sorry, I always like to add a D in there. That sounded a lot more inappropriate than I planned. Kira Hogan, Abaddon, Abaddon, Okay, great. Now I'm going to continue to do that, and now I pretty much fucking ruined it. I love Abaddon, though. Layla Hirsch, who had a terrific fucking match that you need to go out of your way to see against Camille at NWA Empower. Seriously, fucking tremendous. One of the best matches I've seen all year. Definitely one of the best women's matches I've seen. Kylan King, who I've been high on since they starred her on AEW Dark, and she's improved. Her and Red Velvet have really shined. They shined during the pandemic era. And Rebel, I can't imagine that Rebel's really going to be in there very long. Jamie Hayter, who, god fucking damn it, Jamie, she's just great. She just really does look great. And Anna Jay, the returning Anna Jay, who popped up on AEW Dynamite. And 2 wild cards. Okay. Either Ruby Soho and somebody else, or possibly maybe the former Iconics, Cassie Lee and, God, I always forget Billie Kay's actual name. All I'm going to say is I always prefer Billie Kay over, over Peyton Royce, the former Billie Kay, the former Peyton Royce. This is getting confusing. It could be them. It could be Ruby, and I don't know. I don't think Mercedes Martinez's no compete clause is up, but that would be kind of cool. But maybe they bring somebody over from Impact Wrestling. Jordan Grace, perhaps? But I think it's probably going to be the former Iconics, and we'll see. But it would be kind of cool to have Ruby pop up, because that would be something monumental. Who do you think the Joker cards are going to be? And if they end up announcing somebody right after this and only have one Joker card, excuse me for not having the clairvoyance to see ahead. Now let's pick up some time. Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to go about 10 to 12 minutes, and Jon Moxley is going to get the victory. Good to see that Kojima is going to be getting some love from the U.S. market because, New Japan, All Japan, stalwart, really, really good talent, still can move really well and do some great shit. Not just hitting the lariat. He actually has some impressive strength and can still put on a pretty good match, even in his early 50s. But Moxley's going to get the victory, obviously. Paul White versus QT Marshall at the Factory. Well, I picked a bathroom break because I really don't give a flying fuck about this goddamn match. If I'm forced to pick something, probably QT Marshall, but knowing what they'll do, they'll have Paul White beat him in about 30 seconds. Or they'll have QT will say, you got to face Camarado and you got to face Solo before you can get to me. Then you got to face the Gun Club, and then he just squashes everybody, and then he beats QT in 30 seconds, and this thing goes on way too goddamn long, and I don't care. Does anybody care about this match? It's nothing against Paul White as a person. It's nothing against QT Marshall as a person. This feud is ass. Nobody cares. Anyway, I pick a bathroom break, but I think they're probably going to give it to QT. But then again, who the fuck knows? So anyway, Chris Jericho versus MJF. If Jericho loses, he must retire. So with that, they might as well just say, hey, Chris, you're going to go over here. Now, it makes sense. I'm a bit surprised that they had MJF win, and stop the labors of Jericho from being complete with all these victories. Because this feud must fucking continue. And they've done it all backwards. This should have been blood and guts. They should have built up to that. And we should have done all this to lead to this. And then you could have done maybe MJF versus Jericho at Full Gear to have this career-ending match if you really needed to. And I like MJF's promos, and I love the stuff that they did in the pre-tape for MJF and others on Dynamite. And I want MJF to win. I just don't think he's going to. Jericho is going to win here, and then he's going to work out the rest of his contract, and maybe he'll sign an extension. I don't know. I wish that he would retire and just go tour with his goddamn stupid band, and maybe have the try to justify why his wife and mother-in-law were part of the January 6th insurrection attempts. No, I'm not going to forget that, and nor should anyone else. But Jericho's going to win here. And is MJF going to benefit? The heel does eventually have to lose. That is how the feuds work, but this thing's been botched so horribly. Hopefully MJF can carry Jericho to something passable, because Jericho has looked wiped the fuck out during his recent matches. Miro versus Eddie Kingston, TNT Championship match. Man, they sold me on the friggin' promos that they've been doing, especially the pre-tapes that they did on Dynamite. And I think this could be pretty hard-hitting. It's not going to be the end of it. Miro's going to win. Now, they could do a double DQ, but I think Miro's going to somehow get the victory. And then Eddie's going to keep coming after him, and they blow off the feud on Dynamite. But Eddie should not win the championship. Nothing against Eddie Kingston. He doesn't need a championship. He's over enough. Miro's really excelling here. Why they didn't bring Miro in like this, I have no idea. But Miro will win. The Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers with Alex Abrahantes. Steel cage match for the AEW World Tag Titles. For the love of God, put the titles on the Lucha Bros. Freshen up the tag division. Give us some cool matches and everything. And I don't know, maybe give me champions that I give a shit about. I know that you're supposed to have heels. Oh, these dastardly heels have to get their comeuppance, but I don't care about the Elite, the Elite. I don't care about the Bucks. I don't care about Omega. I definitely don't care about the Good Brothers. Home of the Good Brothers. Maybe we take your order. The steel cage looks cool, and they haven't overused it. I will give them credit for that. Yes, they had the blood and guts stuff and everything, but they had Cody versus Wardlow. They've done some other stuff, and they've kept certain match concepts fresh. I will give them credit for that. If the Lucha Bros don't win here, especially after Phoenix took the loss, the pinfall loss on Dynamite, I don't know what we're doing here. And I don't know where this leaves the Lucha Bros. Now, granted, Phoenix is likely going to brain himself in the cage because he tends to do that. But when they pull off their shit, they're spectacular. Pentagon, and I'm going to keep calling him Pentagon because that's what I, got used to calling him in Lucha Underground, and I just can't say Penta L0M without it sounding like a word salad. But Phoenix and Penta need to win here because one title's at least got to change, and I think that's going to be the only title that changes. If none of the titles change and they keep them all on the Elite, the Elite, then Good luck getting people to properly react to the Elite, because look at how they reacted on Dynamite. People are like, oh, they were quiet because they were shocked. No, I think they're really bored and they're really, quite frankly, annoyed. And also, who the hell else would the Bucks lose the titles to? The FTR, they're clear-cut heels. Maybe Santana and Ortiz, but if you have the Lucha Bros, Santana, Ortiz, and FTR competing for the tag titles, along with Jurassic Express and others, it's fresh. The Bucks really haven't done anything for it. So anyway, besides add really bad fashions, and a bad amount of like clothing to Tony Khan's budget. So anyway, the Lucha Bros win, but I would not be shocked if they keep them on the Young Bucks, and I just stopped caring. Britt Baker, DMD, D. Taking on Chris Statlander, AEW Women's Championship. Rebel will be in Britt's corner. Maybe Jamie Hayter will be too. Who knows? But we are going to see if the alien can boop the dentist, or if the dentist can lockjaw the alien. Is it like some kind of weird thing? Is it like Pennywise's jaw? Is it like, oh, I don't know, a face hugger? Who the hell knows? What am I even on about? Britt Baker is going to win. Probably through nefarious means, but she doesn't need to lose the championship yet. Keep Statlander maybe in chase mode if they want, but Statlander has no reason to win here. And the title stays on Britt. Kenny Omega with Dawn, Scarlet Fever, Callis, Mr. Invisible Hand, who can piss the fuck off and go all the way back, to Canada, wherever the fuck he came from. I also find it funny how Kenny Omega basically looks like a young Cyrus, Jackal or whatever, or Cyrus the Virus or whatever. Almost like, Don Callis has groomed him in a certain way from an early age. I'm not saying, but I'm saying. Omega versus Christian Cage, AEW World Title. Okay, so Christian is the Impact World Champion. I think I stopped caring once that title, well, actually I stopped caring a number of years ago who was champion, but he beat him recently on the first ever Rampage. Omega's going to win here. They are building towards Omega versus Page at Full Gear. They don't do it at Full Gear, then I think the crowd may stop caring, or at least some of the crowd may. But Omega's going to retain here. It's going to be through a whole lot of bullshit. Cutler will probably be out there with his cold spray, and I'm just going to groan because nothing against the guy personally, but it's stupid shit. It's not funny. If people find it funny on being the Elite, that's fine. I don't. Omega wins. CM Punk versus Darby Allin. CM Punk wins. The match is going to be electric. And it was so good on Dynamite, I decided to do it again. CM Punk's going to win. This match is going to be pretty good. I hope that they take their time and build. Obviously, they're going to have a hot start, because Darby just doesn't want to walk by the age of 35. Might not even be walking by the age of 33 at the rate he goes. But I think the CM Punk and Darby are going to craft a good match, and I would be surprised if that wasn't the main event, considering it is CM Punk's, homecoming, and, literal in-ring homecoming. It has to almost be the main event, because what else is going to follow it? The crowd's going to be probably exhausted, but they're going to be up for CM Punk. Punk's going to win. Don't do Punk versus Sting. I really don't want to see that. But overall, this pay-per-view should be pretty goddamn good on paper. Again, I hope it doesn't go way too long, because apparently it could go possibly 5 hours, and with the pre-show, that's about 5.5 goddamn hours. Ho ho. But anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.